Hello from Munich to everyone around the world watching this live stream. This is, of course, the first international rookie competition after the COVID-19 lockdown. And we've got 6 nations competing. We've got France, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, Austria and Italy. And our athletes are going to be competing in 4 different disciplines, fighting for the 12 points at the top notch. And this competition is very important as all of our Europeans are trying to collect points. And of course, at the end of the day, only the 8 top Europeans are going to go to the next World Championship. Today is therefore going to be very important. I think we should take a closer look at our studio here in Munich. And of course, this gives me the opportunity to say hello to our expert commentary, Troy Mannering. Hopefully we can get to see him now. There he is. Thumbs up to Troy Mannering. He's going to do the live commentary, as we always know. How do you feel here in Studio 6, Troy? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Marcus. I feel real good. I was listening to the saws going off a little bit earlier. The camera guys are ready to go. They're looking all fine and dandy. Of course, we do have the strange situation here with the whole COVID thing, so we all have to do the social distancing. I'm feeling a little alone up here, to be honest with you, but I'm really looking forward to seeing these rookies get into action today.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're not going to feel lonely for a long time because this Bavaria Studio 6 is very, very special. And just to show you where we're sending to you from, we're going to see a short clip that's going to explain everything you need to know.
The Nations Cup is a really good competition, so we can meet and compete again. It's been a long while.
C'est une situation nouvelle, mais bon, on est quand même content d'être ici. C'est la même pour tout le monde, mais je suis enthousiaste d'être là.
Ich habe große Erwartungen. Ich freue mich auf einen neuen Wettkampf. Es ist schön, auf europäischer Ebene einen Wettkampf machen zu können, auch in dieser schweren Zeit. Es ist natürlich schwer ohne Zuschauer, das vermisse ich, aber die können ja im Livestream auch noch zuschauen.
Well, this is it. This is Studio 6 in Bavaria Film Munich. And you've just heard a few sentences from our athletes. I think it's time to meet them all. These are our 12 contestants for this International Rookie Cup. We're going to start with Lukas Wagesreiter from Austrian, 20 years old, 84 kilos as a weight and 1.74 meters tall. And you can see his determination in the face. So that's Lukas Wagesreiter. As we move on to Italy's Michel Perin from Italy, our next contestant. Here is Michel Perin. 1.97 meters tall, 105 kilograms at the age of 23. Of course, Italian rookie champion in 2020. Definitely a man who's going to be hard to beat today as well. As we move on to our first competitor from Sweden, Edvin Karlsson. Let's take a look at Edvin, 1.77 meters tall, with a weight of 95 kilograms. He, of course, also winner of the Swedish Orsa Rookie Cup in 2020. And his personal best, as you can see, with 39.02. His first contestant in his personal first heat, that's going to be heat number 2, will be from Switzerland, Oliver Reinhardt. So let's take a closer look at this man, 94 kilograms, the weight, age 21, and this guy is a big man with 1.86 meters of height. As we move on to his colleague, also from Switzerland, ladies and gentlemen, the next contestant, and that's going to be Niels Rölli, coming up in just a few moments. So let's take a closer look at Niels Rölli, 19 years of age, 94 kilograms is his weight, and he is also 1.85 meters tall. Swiss rookie champion of 2020, and as you can see, 29th at the European rookie competition. He will take on Robin Haas in his first heats. His Swiss colleague, 24 years of age, 75 kilograms his weight, and he is 1.78 meters tall. Silver medal at the Rookie Championship. So that's going to be a very, very interesting one as we proceed to the German contestants. Only one German athlete in this competition, and that's Marcel Steinkemper. 110 kilos of weight, 24 years old, 1.84 meters tall, and this guy has a lot of strength in his arms. Winner of the German Amarok Rugby Cup in 2020, and this man is ready to go. It's his first year of competing in timber sports, and I'm very sure there's going to be a long history at the end of his career because he has determination in his face. He will be facing the French athlete Sébastien Bateau. And here is Sebastian, 80 kilos, 1.74 meters, and only 20 years of age. Bronze medalist at the French Rookie Championship 2020, and he only just missed out on the silver medal. As we continue with the next Austrian athlete, that's Peter Ritsch, 24 years of age, 80 kilos of weight, 1.82 meters tall. And as you can see, 6th place at the Rookie World Championship in 2019. So this also a man to watch in this competition. As we continue with our next contestant, Maxime Lariage from France, also 24 years old, 1.83 meters tall, and this guy 117 kilos of weight. That's pure muscle strength. As you can see, silver medalist at the French Rookie Championship 2020, and he said he wants to go for gold, which of course all of our contestants are looking forward. We've got 2 more coming up. We are staying in France. Loic Vincent, that's our next rookie we'll want to take a closer look at. Here you can see him, 21 years old, 1.82 meters tall, 92 kilos of weight, and he is the French Rookie Champion of 2020. So this man is definitely one to watch, as he will take on the Swedish athlete Emil Hansson in our final heats of the first competition. This man is only 19 years old, and he has a lot to look forward to. 2nd place at the Swedish also Rookie Cup in 2020, and bronze medalist at the Rookie World Championship 2019. So this man is definitely somebody to take a closer look at. By the way, taking a look at the venue, you've already seen the videos, but now we're actually having something happening. We are awaiting our judges to enter the arena, and hopefully we can go directly into Studio 6 now to take a closer look at our judges. We've got Bart Janssen, the man I'm sure you've seen in so many competitions, coming up in just a moment, together with his colleague Jörg Kurzenberger, who will be carrying the medals there. You can see them entering. Here's Bart Janssen giving us a thumbs up, hopefully followed by Jörg Kurzenberger, who's carrying the medals for our athletes. Here he comes. Stage judge, as you can see. Medals are in the arena, our judges are so as well. And Jules Jansen will be our video judge, ladies and gentlemen. Also a very, very important position. Here you can see him giving us a wave. Nice to see you. This is where detailed information is brought to life, and where everyone, of course, can go into details if it has to be made with judgment. Time to find out how this tournament is happening. We'll show you just a short clip how things are going to be going on and going to be fought out here in the Bavaria Studio 6. So enjoy.
We are Timbersports.
United by passion for the sport
and competition.
We chop down racism
and say yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
Say ja till tolerans.
Yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
是的，理解宽容。
Powiedz tak tolerancji.
Ja zu Toleranz.
We are Timbersports.
This is how we're going to work this competition, with a lot of tolerance, special situation, special occasion, and one hell of a great fight coming up with this year's Rookie Cup. The Six Nations Rookie Cup will start off with a stock saw. And just to give you a short insight how this discipline works and how the tools that are going to be worked look like, we have a nice clip prepared for you to watch now. So this is how it's going to work. 12 points to be awarded to the top athlete in each discipline. And whoever earns the most points in all 4 disciplines will call himself champion tonight. Before I hand over to our expert commentary, Troy Mannering, let's find out what the heats are going to look like in this first competition, the sock saw. We're going to have Lukas Wagesreiter from Austria taking on Michael Perrin from Italy in heat number 1. Edwin Karlsson taking on Oliver Reinhardt, Sweden versus Switzerland in heat number 2. In heat 3, Nils Rölli from Switzerland taking on Robin Haas from Switzerland, as we proceed to heat number 4 with Marcel Steinkemper from Germany taking on Sébastien Bateau from France. In heat number 5, Austrian Peter Rich taking on the Frenchman Maxime Layarige. And last but not least, in heat number 6, it's France versus Sweden. Loic Wanson taking on Emil Hansen. Really looking forward to this first heat, and it's over to you, Troy Mannering. Let's get this party started.
All right, thanks a lot, Marcus. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys get out there on stage, because the stock saw is a really interesting one, because it's all about the tool itself here, and we're going to see a little bit more about the MS661 shortly, because this is exactly the same saw that you can buy in your local steel dealership. And so this is not adapted at all. There's no changes at all for this saw. They can't do anything to the blade. They can't do anything to the motor to make it run any faster. Like I said, this is an off-the-shelf saw, and it's all about the skill, about how well these guys can use that saw in particular.
Well, I'm pretty sure you got 1 or 2 of those saws back home.
Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark. 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks. The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition.
So there you see our stage setup, and now you've learned a little bit more about the MS661 saws that these athletes will be using. Don't blink, folks, because this happens very quickly. And now we're going to be bringing out our first two athletes onto the stage shortly. Lukas Wagersreiter from Austria up against Michael Perrin. All right, up next we have Michael Perrin from Italy. He'll be on stand B, and you'll notice left side is stand A, right side is stand B, and there you can see the matchup between these two gentlemen. Now, it is called the Six Nations Rookie Cup, but you can't really call these guys rookies in the sense of experience. They've all got plenty of experience in timber sports. It's just because they're just getting into the big competitions now. Here, what's happening is the athletes will take a moment to warm up their saws to get them running and make sure those blades are turning free and clean. Next step is to get it set on the rubber pads to make sure it doesn't hop around, and we'll get going with our first heat of the day.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wagersreiter very deep on the start here as he gets up in there quickly, but Perrin looks like he's got a nice cut going down. Wagersreiter's faster on the upstroke here. It could be the advantage goes to the Austrian. Oh, but Perrin comes from behind to take this one in 12:15, and it's a personal best for both of these gentlemen. 12:52 for Wagersreiter and 12:05 the adjusted time for Perrin. Good start to the competition here today. Looking at that once again, very quick on the pickup. We saw that Lukas Wagersreiter was really low in his stance before the start. He maybe put a little bit too much pressure on the saw on the downstroke, which could have slowed down the blade, believe it or not. You have to have exactly the right balance to make a nice, clean, and steady cut. And you can see here, he got back on the upstroke very quickly, but it was on the other side of the stage with Michael Perrin from Italy, who was just a hair faster. You can see how close that was right there. So our first heat is done and dusted, and we have personal bests already on the scale, which is very good for our athletes. What a great start to the competition here for these rookies. And there we see a quick view of our crew to clean up the stage. This is a very efficient crew, all of them using the STIHL equipment to get that stage cleaned up. It's very important that there's no sawdust or any kind of debris lying around on the stage, because these athletes need to have good footing, especially when they're dealing with power tools like the MS661 saw from STIHL. All right, final check by Bart Janssen to get the lines marked. It's very important. They've got 10 centimeters in order to cut 2 cookies, as you heard earlier on. If you cut over the line, that means a disqualification. So it's very important that you are in control of that saw on the downstroke as well as on the upstroke. All right, our next competitors coming out on the stage from Sweden, Edvin Karlsson, and from Switzerland, Oliver Reinhardt. I almost renamed him Olivier, although wouldn't be the worst thing. Nice name, Oliver Olivier. And here we go. Edvin Karlsson coming out onto the stage now. You can see in the tunnel and behind him waiting for his opportunity, using our social distancing rules that we have to follow here. Oliver Reinhardt will join him shortly on the stage. And of course, in 2020, things being what they are with the COVID situation, and we have to really pay attention to all of the social distancing and the rules to make sure that everybody stays safe out there. So that's why you're going to see a lot of our staff on stage, or all of our staff on stage, our cameramen, the judges all wearing masks. Even the crew, when they come out on stage, will have their masks on in order to make sure that we follow the rules and are able to keep this competition going.
saw.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, quick start by Carlson. He got that saw on board quickly. Reinhardt right there with him, though. Carlson quick on the return back on the upstroke. Looks like he's got space. And, oh, Carlson's done it in 12:42. We got a personal best there on stand A. And Reinhardt with a 13:08 just behind. Nice, very good second heat here. And I've just heard that Bart Janssen has called for a video check, so we've got a really thick cookie on Carlson's side, and that is under review. They're going to go off stage briefly and take a look at stand A to make sure that nothing untoward happened there. Now, from my vantage point here, I can see that there's a lot of space up until that guideline. Let's see what Bart Janssen says when he comes back on stage here. Okay, so the call is the fingers of the athlete on this side here. Carlson were over the line, and that is due to disqualify him in that situation because he was too close to getting off the log, going back to his saw. You have to have your hands in exactly the right position on top of that block before the whistle goes. Otherwise, it's considered an unfair advantage, and that's what's happened here. So we've got our first DQ. It's an unfortunate situation, but that personal best time isn't really fair if you get to the saw faster and got up faster. And we did see Edvin Carlson. He was very quick down to the saw. Unfortunately for him, his hands just weren't in the right place. Fingers over the line means a DQ. So that puts him currently sitting in 4th place with Perrin and Wageschreiter in 1 and 2. Both of their personal best are very nice times. 12:05, the time to beat at the moment from Michael Perrin. Just as a note of interest, the stock saw world record was recently broken 3 weeks ago in the Polish Championships by Marcin Jakowski. He had a time of 9.51 seconds. So very, very fast time there. And you can see, though, our rookie athletes are not that far off pace. Only 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds difference as our next crew comes on for stock saw. Heat number 3, Niels Rölli from Switzerland. And he'll be going up against a Swiss compatriot, Robin Haas. Now what you see Niels doing there, he's got a piece of chalk in his hand or a marker, and he is setting his guidelines for where he wants to impact the blade of that saw on his upstroke, or on his downstroke, excuse me, and also you saw him line it down a little bit lower. That gives him a guideline for where the saw blade needs to come on the upstroke. So the athletes now have 10 seconds to warm up their saws and get those blades turning. And again, you'll notice that in this case, they'll go back down onto the rubber pads with the engine still running. There's no cold starts here for this competition.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Really nice start by Niels Rölli on the left-hand side of your screen, that stand A. Robin Haas is a little bit in trouble here. Oh, Niels Rölli's blade disappeared inside the block, but he's got a nice cut in 12.23. We've got another personal best on stage. A quick check of both of those discs, which need to be complete with no cut-throughs, and that means they will be good if everything is all right on both stands. All right, and we have thumbs up by our judges that both stands were good. Robin Haas there had a bit of a rough start at the top and struggled with the saw through the midsection here. Nice upswing, though. Not a lot of drift as he goes down outside of the log and comes back up. And right there, you can see that one was Niels Rulli on the close side, that the saw blade, the tip of the saw blade disappeared inside the log. That's something you don't want to have happen because you're not actually cutting through the entire piece of that block. And a nice little last flourish by him to get a great time of, it's actually been revised now to 11.97, so a personal best, as well as our time to beat in stock saw right now with Niels Rulli from Switzerland moving into the lead. If that time stands, then he will have the best time so far. And I just see on screen now, Marcus is in studio. Marcus, what have you seen here so far in the first 3 heats of the competition?
Well, Troy, I'm very impressed. We had 3 personal bests, and I think the big question before the competition was how did our athletes spend their time during the COVID-19 lockdown? Obviously, they have been training. I mean, 3 personal bests, that's pretty impressive. What do you say?
Absolutely. I mean, it's really nice to see, too. And as I mentioned off the top of the show, I mean, rookie isn't really a fair moniker for these guys because they've got a lot of training in behind them, and they got a lot of experience. So these guys are, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, getting into the competition scene for the first times. And obviously, we're seeing some of the absolute future stars of STIHL Timbersports here today.
Oh, true thing. I'm very sure we're going to get the chance to analyze on the split screen later on. But from what I've heard, the next heat is ready to go. Oh, we can get an analyze split screen, Troy. Hopefully you're going to help me on this one.
Absolutely, I'm there for you.
So let's take a closer look. Let's go for it.
Or maybe not. It looks like our next athlete, the only German in the competition, Marcel Steinkemper, is in the tunnel ready to come out, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So we'll do a split screen later on. Interesting with those split screens, by the way, you can see exactly how the head-to-head action works in real close comparison. And yeah, we'll get to see that a little bit later on when we talk to Marcus again. So Marcel Steinkemper from Germany, the only German athlete here today. What's impressive is this is Marcel's first season in competition, and he has shown a lot of skill, and he'll be going up against Frenchman Sébastien Bateau. And you could see 10 centimeters difference in height. In this case, I would say Sébastien has a slight advantage as far as being closer to the saw and getting it quickly up onto the block. But it's all about experience here. Let's see how these two gentlemen manage to go head-to-head against each other. Now you can see there, Marcel, bit of a technician as he did 3 waves of that saw blade in front of the log. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Steinkemper. Bateau looking to find his line, and Steinkemper digging in hard there. Oh, he's got himself a cut outside the log here, and that is going to be a problem. He's going to have to cut again to get a complete cookie, and he just checks there because he came back up, and they're going to have a real close look at that second cookie because he did cut and break it, but did he cut the line is the big question. Okay, so on the side of Sébastien Bateau, he has an incomplete cookie. Now, that is one of the things that we'll talk about a lot through this competition in these disciplines. Let's watch what happened here in the slow-mo. So, there is his first down cut. Saw blading it a little bit there as he finally gets into a rhythm. And on the upstroke here, it looks like he goes out with the tip of his blade. Yeah, right there, gets an incomplete cookie. He knew it right away. Now, he had time. He could have gone back and cut a third cookie. Looking at this one from Marcel Steinkemper. Good first cut here. Incomplete cookie. He realized it, reset the saw, but he was really, really close to that line at the bottom. And I I think Sebastian Bato definitely a DQ there, but it appears as though Marcel Steinkemper, his counts, so he was okay, but because he had to reset the saw, that killed a lot of his time, and he's got a 13.89, so currently sitting in 6th place with 2 more heats to come. That's the interesting thing about these head-to-head heats. You know, you're not just out there alone battling against the clock, which almost in some cases I would think would be easier. But these guys have to be so focused and so on point because they know right across from them or right behind them there's another athlete doing exactly the same thing they're doing and trying to get the fastest time possible. So there's that added pressure of having someone else out on stage with you. Now for the rookies, something that's different that we're not seeing with them today is what we will see later on this evening with the pros is there's no springboard and there's no hot saw. So we only have the 4 disciplines of stock saw, standing block chop, single buck, and underhand chop. All right, stage is set for heat number 5 with our next Austrian coming out, Peter Rich. So Peter Rich will have stand A. Casual saunter over to his block, looking relaxed and easy. Maxime Laragy. I think I have to learn how to say that name properly. Laragy. Somebody help me out. Marcus, you got to get me on that one later on, yeah? All right, so preparations on stage going here for both of these gentlemen, Peter Rich and Maxime Laragy.
Warm up your saw.
And there you see the dependability of the STIHL MS661 saw. Just no problems at all getting those saws started and getting ready for competition here. Deep stance by Maxime on stand B.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good even start by both of them. This could be a head-to-head slight advantage for Maxime on the French side. And he's got it in 11:50. Great time. That should be the fastest time so far. And Rich gets through in 13:11. These times are, of course, unofficial until we get the thumbs up from our stage judges, Bart Janssen and Jörg Kurzenberger. And it looks like the cuts are good and the thumbs up from the boys as they head off stage and we go to slow-mo. Really nice start by both of them. Dead even on the first impact and that first cut. But it was Maxime who got through just a little bit faster on that first downstroke. There you can see the difference right there. No swing at all on the upstroke for either of them. And Maxime Laragy wins that one, and currently with the updated time now, 11:40, has the fastest time of the day. And that's not even a personal best, ladies and gentlemen, for him. So he's got more left in him on that particular discipline. But that is the time to beat, 11:40, with Peter Rich sitting in 6th place with a time of 12.89 seconds. So 1.49 seconds off the fastest time from Maxime. And there you can see how efficient our stage crew is. They're just in and out. It's like a Formula One pit crew to get that stage clean and ready for our next heat, which, by the way, is our 6th and final heat in stock saw. And another Frenchman coming out on the stage now, Loïc Voinson. The French have shown a lot of talent coming out of that country in the last years. And it just seems to be improving from year to year with the rookies and on up into the pro ranks. Now coming out on stage, Emil Hansen from Sweden. He'll be moving over onto stand B. say these two guys are pretty evenly matched, actually. Emil Hansen, by the way, the youngest competitor in today's competition for our Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020.
Warm up your song.
All right, here we go. Heat number 6, locked and loaded.
Ready?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by Emil Hansen and Loic Poisson. Both of them looking really good. Emil Hansen just ahead of Loic Poisson as he starts his upstroke, and it looks like he's going to have this one. Oh, he stalls the saw, but manages to do one final pull and get through. And it appears as though his cookie is okay. A chip did fly out. That's the question now. If you're Kurzenberger, will say yes or no. He's going to ask a second opinion from Bart Janssen here as he heads over. There is a small chip that did come out of the cookie there. The question is, do they find that that is a complete cookie or not on Emil Hansen's side? And the tension mounts here for him as we take a close look at that. All right, well, we've just seen the flag get thrown down here, and that means that we don't have a complete cookie because there is a piece broken out where the saw cut through a little bit too close to the line. That will mean a DQ for Emil Hansen. That is unfortunate because he did have a very fast time. So thus far in the competition, we've had 3 DQs and 3 personal bests. And there we see Loic Poisson. His time 15 seconds even, 3.60 seconds off pace. On his upstroke, he was pushing a little bit too hard, and we can see here, this is the upstroke from Emil Hansen, and the saw just stalled right there. He had to reset it, put it back down, and he actually broke through the top instead of cutting through the top. So that's where the problem arose from Emil Hansen, and that means DQ for him, a disappointed young man there. But this is all about the experience and gaining that experience through these competitions. So a great time of 11:40 for Maxime Laraige. Again, I murdered his name. My apologies, Maxime, and to all the French fans out there. Nevertheless, he's taking away the first 12 points of the competition. Niels Rolli will have 11 points, and Michael Perrin will sit in 3rd place at the moment with 10 points, and then you can see the rest of the list as we go down 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Unfortunately, no points awarded for a disqualification, so those guys at the bottom of our list will have a lot of work cut out for them if they want to get back into the mix. Now, looking at the MS661 saw there really quickly on the ground, you see the pad that it's sitting in. That is a recent development for these competitions in the last few years. It used to be that they would put them on the floor or on a flat rubber pad, but we found that with the saw running, it would hop around the floor a little bit too much, and it would be hard for the athletes to find the saw where they put it down, and that's the reason for that pad being developed, to make it fair, to make sure that the athletes can place the saw exactly where they want it and that the saw stays there, because beside there is a place for their foot, just to make sure that nothing runs away on them. You know, these are the developments that come with time and with experience, and these are all things that make the sport of steel timber sports that much better. Now, here's that side-to-side that Marcus and I were talking about early. Niels and Maxime, very, very close on the time. Niels Rolli, great first cut down, but Maxime was just a little bit faster on the upstroke. No, excuse me, he's got the faster time. But you can see there, those two guys head-to-head for first and second positions is a really nice comparison for us to have a look at and talk about, Marcus.
Awesome, and especially Maxime Laraige, your favorite name. He really showed us that this extra weight, that extra strength, is very, very helpful, especially working with these saws and that kind of wood.
One more time with the name for me, Laraige. Oh my God, it's terrible. I'm sorry.
You can do it. Come on, Troy.
La Yarige.
Oh, sounds perfect to me. Sounds perfect to me. Talking about perfect, the wood that we've seen so far looks very perfect to me, but I think it's hard to find this premium wood. Is that something you think can be decisive in a competition like this?
Absolutely. Wood plays a massive role here, but the wood is very specially selected for these events by Bart Jansen and his team. It's not just like they go out and randomly cut down a tree somewhere and peel off the bark and set these logs in place. They're all specifically designed for these competitions to make that wood as fair as possible for the athletes that are competing.
Yeah, and I think we're going to take a closer look at that right now.
Timber sports uses wood as a natural product. It is therefore especially important to maintain fair competition conditions and that the wood is sustainably grown.
Hi, my name's Spike Milton, Global Sports Director for STIHL Timbersports. Together with Head of Wood, Mr. Bart Jansen, we have a wealth of knowledge and experience with long-term wood management.
We have different partners for finding the good wood, and here we are on one of the plantations of our partner this year.
One of the biggest challenges that I actually have as part of my role is to work with our wood suppliers. There are some beautiful young trees. These young trees are the future. For us, we have to find consistent and fair wood.
The international timber sports competitions mainly use fast-growing poplar wood from certified plantations, as well as white pine.
After all our STIHL Timbersports competitions, the spent wood is collected and recycled. A great example of this is wood pellets for biomass to be used for green energy.
Well, now that you've met the wood, it's time for the standing block chop. Here is the discipline and, of course, the tool.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result. The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom-built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it.
This is one of my favorite competitions, and it's time to take a closer look at the athletes. Troy, over to you.
Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really cool competition. It takes us back to the old days when trees were cut down solely with axes or big double buck saws, I guess you would call them. But these definitely aren't your granddaddy's axes. There's no two ways about it as we meet our first two athletes coming out on stage. Niels Rulli will be on stand A going up against Michael Perrin. So we've got a Swiss and an Italian battling against each other here. Now both of these guys are pretty tall dudes, but Michael Perrin at 197 will definitely have a swing advantage because of his height. He can step back from that log a little farther with a wide stance and really use that to his advantage. Now they have to cut through from the back side and then to the other side and cut through the front side. So let's see how this battle goes down.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Quick stick by Michael Perrin there as he gets caught in that log. Niels Rulli, however, looking very good. Pretty frequent hits there as he's got good axe speed. Now remember, 3 kilograms, 80 centimeters long, and that thing gets heavy after a while, swinging away. And you have to have fitness, but you also have to be precise with your hits. Niels Rulli now moved over to the other side of his block already. The advantage goes to him as Mikkel Perrin has caught his saw, or his axe, excuse me, a couple of times in that block. And it's a good final blow for Niels Rulli with a 34.95. And we have dropped another personal best here in the standing block chop. Struggling to get through his block right now. Mikkel Perrin has got a few more hits to go. He's a big man, got lots of power, but I think it's his accuracy here with the axe that's causing the problem. Final blow for him, and he drops the block in 54.45. All right, let's take a look here. Now this is where the accuracy and the angle of the head as it impacts the log is so important. Trying to slab out some nice big pieces here and just get a nice clean cut. Niels Rulli looking very good. He was actually hammering away at that thing with really quick and very fast hits. And there you can see one of the big sticks by Mikkel Perrin. And that is a problem because you have to dig the axe out and then start again. And it's tiring to have to dig that axe out of there. And he got stuck in there 3 or 4 times, which just caused a lot of problems for him. And once again, you can see the axe getting stuck. Back to Niels on his side. Couple of blows here to finish off the top of that block. Nicely done by Niels Rulli. So a time of 33.83, a personal best for him. And that is the time to beat at the moment. So that's 2 personal bests for Niels Rulli on the day. He got it in stock saw. Now he's got it in standing block. If he keeps improving like this, we may be looking at a Swiss competition champion here at the Six Nations Rookie Cup for 2020. And blink, and bingo, the stage is ready again. Fantastic job by the stage crew here. All right, next heat coming on from Sweden, Edvin Karlsson going up against Maxime Laraige. Edvin Karlsson looking critically at that block of his that he's got to work through as Maxime Laraige comes onto the stage. Okay, heat number 2 ready to go. Final practice swings here.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, in sync. It doesn't get any more in sync than this here, as Edvin Karlsson slows his pace a little bit, but nice big hits. On the other side, Maxime Laraige getting in deep. Wow, and there's some blocks flying from that big block. There's some slabs flying away from Edvin Karlsson's as Maxime has already started on the backside of his. Karlsson moved to the backside as well. Oh, a big stick by Maxime. Should be 1 or 2 more blows. Maxime gets it down in a time of 37.95, and Edvin Karlsson in 38.47. And Edvin Karlsson with a personal best there. And that means that he will be currently sitting in 4th place in the overall standings. And what you just saw there on screen in the orange field with the white number, that is the overall standings position, not the position in the particular discipline being battled out. Here we see Edvin Karlsson continuing in the slow-mo. Nice big slabs coming off of that block. And really nice hits there. You could see how precise he is with that axe. Maxime on the other side, throwing as much power as he can into it. Again, on his side too, some big slabs coming out. So it's about technical and endurance in this case. So results so far in standing block chop, Niels Röhli still in the top position with a 33.83, but Maxime Laraige with 37.70 sitting in second place, and Edvin Karlsson in third place in the standing block chop. As far as the overall standings, Maxime is just behind Niels Röhli in first and second place, Edvin Karlsson in fourth place in the overall, Michael Perrin sitting in third in the overall standings there with 19 points so far. Next pairing coming out on the stage, we'll have Switzerland's Robin Haas on stand A. And then joining him on stage, Sébastien Bateau from France on stand B. Both of these guys under the 180 mark, 174 and 178 respectively between Bateau and Haas. Pretty evenly matched up as far as weight as well. So this is all going to come down to technique and endurance.
3, 2, 1, go!
And also use of those hips. You got to swing those hips to get in there. Big slabs coming out for Robin Haas here on stand A. Bateau from France on stand B, still working on his first side. Robin Haas has already moved to the backside of his block. Really accurate hits from Robin Haas here from Switzerland, excuse me. Now, Sébastien Bateau has moved over to his backside, but it's going to be a good time for Robin Haas with 33.62, third place in the overall, and first in the standing block chop. Sébastien Bateau still battling to try and get through his block here. He really needs to give it a couple of good whacks, and this should do it. There it goes, down at 49.76. These times are, of course, unofficial, and they usually get adjusted a little bit towards our final heat matchups and timings. And taking a look back here, Robin Haas, his first hit was a little bit sticky. That axe got stuck in there 1-2 times on that bottom stroke, but then he got into a nice flow, found his rhythm, and found his angle that he needed to have. Sébastien Bateau looked good there as well, but he just wasn't slabbing out as much. Oh, there's a big slip right there. The axe didn't connect properly, and that means that he had to go back and just re-hit a couple of spots there to try and get a nice clean cut. And after that, he looked good, but that just took away too much time with a guy like Robin Haas working away at his block there on the other side. And you could see it start to wiggle in that final blow. He knew it as well, was going to do it for him. So Robin Haas currently has the time to beat of 33.36, just ahead of Niels Röhli, his countryman from Switzerland, with a 33.83. So those two are just 47 hundredths apart from each other. Maxime Laraige is sitting in third place in standing block chop. The overall standings, and there you can see a little bit of moving around now. Niels Röhli, top of the points at the moment. Maxime Laraige sitting in second place, with Robin Haas moving into third place after his standing block chop. All right, so the guy who started our competition off in the stock saw is sitting in heat 4 right now from Austria, Lukas Wagesreiter. He'll be joined by Germany's Marcel Steinkemper. Marcel Steinkemper was sitting in 8th place after Stocksaw, but there's been some moving around in the overall. He is now sitting in 10th place, has a chance to go up against Lukas Wageschreiter, his neighbor to the south.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Wageschreiter with the quicker axe head, but Steinkemper has got the power behind him, leading into every hit. However, that's causing him some problems as the axe has gotten stuck a couple of times in there. Wageschreiter continues with the clean hits and no stuck axes. Now Wageschreiter moves over to the backside. Steinkemper doing the same thing. Another stick by Steinkemper, causing him more problems. Wageschreiter looking nice and clean. His hits are solid and well aimed. Steinkemper really depending on his power at this point, and Wageschreiter saw it wiggling, but just took a little bit of a pause there with a 35.47 time. So that puts him in 3rd place in standing block chop and 4th place in the overall for the moment. All right, looking back here, Lukas Wageschreiter, he just moved that axe quickly. The axe head had more frequent hits on the block, and you could see his aim was pretty solid. A little stick right there, but I think that was really the only problem he had. His flow was good, his axe angle was nice, and you could see with each hit he was slapping out a little bit more every time. He was quick to the other side as well. And there Marcel Steinkemper just throwing everything he's got into it, but that huge hit right there didn't slap the block out the way he wanted to. He got it stuck, and you could see how he twists his hips and just absolutely has a ton of power in his hits. Want to try and make sure that those blocks get away so that you don't have to go through them to continue cutting as well. I mean those slabs, I should have said, not blocks. And you could see just the amount of power that Marcel Steinkemper has. So you know that when he can get everything working together really nicely, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Lukas Wageschreiter there, he saw the block wiggle a little bit, but just took a brief pause and then had to step back, reposition, and do one final hit. So standing block chop. But Steinkemper is in a good position there in the standing block chop in 4th place. Wageschreiter is in 3rd place. Röhrli and Haas with the top 2 times and personal bests. I mean, standing block's been good so far, and we're going to head back down to the studio to Marcus.
Yeah, well, thank you, Troy. Well, thanks very much, Troy. Let me just talk to you about Niels Röhrli. He's overall leader at the moment, and he just beat his own personal best by 22 seconds. Have you seen anything like this before?
Yeah, that's a pretty big win on your personal best, and he did also get a personal best in the stock saw. So right now, you know, like I said, if he's on fire, and if he continues it this way, there's going to be a runaway competition here. But let's just see. We've got 2 more disciplines still to go. Anything can happen, as we have seen in the past. You could get a DQ. You never know. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But Niels Röhrli definitely in a good way right now.
Yeah, well, anything he's been doing so far is very prime. And I've heard we're going back to the next heat. So let's continue with you, Troy.
All right. Thanks a lot, Marcus. All right, so stage is set for heat number 5 here in standing block chop. Peter Rich coming onto stage now. He'll be on stand A once again, where he was in the stock saw. And joining him will be Loïc Voinson. Both of them 182 centimeters tall. Loïc, 14 kilograms heavier. Is that going to play a role here? I don't know. Let's see. We haven't seen much of the weight playing a role as an advantage for the other guys that have been the heavier or taller athletes, so it may or may not here. You just have to get right down to technique and how well you can control that axe.
3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by Peter Rich. Oh yeah, great hits there. Loic Vincent on the other side also looking very good. Ooh, this could be good. Loic Vincent quick to the other side. Peter Rich went very deep on her first cut. Loic Vincent has looked like he's loosened that up. Whoa! Ho, ho, ho! Wow, great time by Loic Vincent, 20.63. He just blew away the time and has taken over the top spot in standing block chop. Meanwhile, Peter Rich still trying to get through there. It was a nice start by him. Something went awry in the middle of that, though, and he has a time of 33.69. And I'm noticing that Loic Vincent doesn't even have a personal best there. 20.63 puts him atop the standing block chop by 12.76 seconds. What a great time by the Frenchman. Really nice start here, as you see in the slow-mo by Peter Rich. His positioning was great. Axe positioning was nice as well. Great flow. Oh, just got a little bit too far over, got the axe caught there, and that stuck in, and he had to work his way out of it. Now here, Loic, he just went over to the other side very quickly, decided to dig through on the back side and not have as much on the front side. Obviously, he felt like this was his wave, so he got on his board and went for it. What a great job by Loic Vincent. And Peter Rich, I have to say, is no slouch either. He did get a bit of a slower time with a 33.36, exactly the same time as Robin Haas. So both of them are sitting currently in second place tied in the standing block chop, but the time to beat right now is Loic Vincent. The overall standings, Niels Röhle still on top with Robin Haas, and Peter Rich now moves into third place. So there is our top three for the moment with one more heat to go. I have to say that was impressive from Loic Vincent. Okay, next heat from Switzerland. Oliver Reinhard coming on the stage. He will have stand A. And joining him in this final heat in standing block chop, Emil Hansson. Emil Hansson, as we know, had a little bit of problem in the stock saw with a DQ. So hopefully he can improve here in the standing block chop and make amends for a disqualification in the stock saw to start our competition off. He's going to really need to put the hammer down. Oliver Reinhard on the stage with him. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oliver Reinhard right there in your shot right now. Nice big hits there. Oh, slapping out very nicely. But Emil Hansson has moved over to the backside of his block already. We should see some good times coming out of both of these gentlemen. Emil Hansson, whoa, what a great shot right there. 19.50 for Emil Hansson and 21.56 for Oliver Reinhard. Two fantastic times, first and third, respectively, for Emil Hansson and Oliver Reinhard. Oh my goodness, those were fantastic times right there. And again, not even personal best, just amazing from Emil Hansson, and he has definitely stepped up his game here in the standing block chop, making up for a DQ in stock saw. Well done. Both of these guys, just really great form. Nice angle, slabbing out nicely there from Oliver Reinhard. You could see he had some big hits there, a little stick, just minor. But he went very, very quickly on the first side as he moved over to the other side. And here, Emil Hansson, a big stick there, and that might have even been that much faster as he moves over to the other side. And he was just not letting anything left a chance here as he wanted to get through this block as quickly as possible to get those all-important 12 points to get himself back in the competition. That final blow, and that's some satisfaction right there to know that you got the 12 points as the fastest athlete here in the standing block chop. Oliver Reinhardt sits in third place in the standing block chop, and Emil Hansen, he's got himself 12 points, but he's still sitting right down there in 11th place in the overall standing. So he's got his work cut out for him. There's no two ways about it. Niels Rulli in a nice position at the top with 18 points. Robin Haas, though, only 1 point behind him. And Oliver Reinhardt, with a great performance here in standing block, is just 1 point behind Robin Haas. So a nice competition is starting to form here with 3 Swiss guys atop the leaderboard in the overall standings.
Well, Troy, as you said, Switzerland is a rock in this Rookie Cup. Absolutely amazing. But we have a Frenchman and a Swede who did the best in this competition. And we're going to take a closer look on our split screen right now. Oh, there we have it. So, Troy, what do you think? What made the difference between Emil Hansen and Loic Vincent at the end?
Well, you can see Emil Hansen has a really, really wide stance. His feet are so far apart. He's pushing off of that back foot, really rotating his hips and getting all of that core power into his hits. And he went over to the other side of his block quite quickly. Loic Vincent, no slouch either, you could see, but he just didn't have the wide stance that Emil Hansen did. And perhaps the long legs from Emil Hansen were the difference maker there, but you could see both of them really, really well battled out.
And it's only been 1.24 seconds, so that was a really, really close one.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about there. And I mean, we're really, this is one of the reasons why we have competition control, because they can go back and look and see literally within the hundredths of a second or thousandths of a second who is the winner of a competition when it comes that close, because it has happened in the past where we've seen these competitions come to literally milliseconds.
And we're going for single buck now, so this is going to be close as well.
Exactly. Single buck is not the easiest discipline either. There's a lot of factors that play a role here. Yeah, with the stock saw, you know, you've got the motor, you've got your pressure and all of those things. And, of course, with the axe, the angle of the axe head, the amount of times that you can hit the axe head, not getting it stuck. But with the single buck, there's just too many finite things that can stop the saw in the middle of a stroke that just cause problems.
Okay, and that means we're off to the competition. Let's take a closer look at the heats of the single buck. We've got Edwin Carlsen taking on Michael Perrin from Italy. And then we'll be having Niels Rulli take on Sebastian Barthol. In heat number 3, the 2 Swiss guys, Oliver Reinhardt and Robin Haas. In heat 4, we have 2 Austrians, Lukas Wagesreiter and Peter Ritsch. Heat 5, Marcel Steinkemper from Germany taking on the Frenchman Maxime Larige. And in heat number 6, Loic Vincent against the Swede Emil Hansen. So that's a lot to look forward to. I'm really in for it now. Troy, back to you into Studio 6, rock and roll.
Thanks, Marcus. And I'm still struggling with Maxime's name, so he's just Maxime for me the rest of the day here. Yeah, you know, but let's learn a little bit more about these tools, the tools of the trade here, and our single buck saws.
Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success. The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around €1,500.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for discipline number 3 here at the Six Nations Rookie Cup, and that is the single buck. And coming out onto stage now, Edvin Carlsen from Sweden. He'll have stand A, and he'll set his single buck in place and make sure that he's ready to go. Coming out next to him, Michael Perin from Italy. Now here's where the height of 1.97 meters can definitely play an advantage for the Italian. He is 20 centimeters taller than Edvin Karlsson. He needs to have good flow, though, because you can be short and have good flow and still win a competition like that. And we're going to look at this a little bit more in detail once we get some side-by-side comparisons. And we'll also see the different styles that these athletes will use during their cutting. You're going to see guys take long strokes. You're going to see guys take frantic short strokes. So it's just about what works best for you. The main component, though, keep that saw moving. Keep the flow going. Check your angle to make sure that you're not getting it hooked up. Those teeth are 10 centimeters long, and if you get one of those hooked up on a piece of the block that you're trying to cut, then it's going to cause it to stop, bow, and it takes a lot to get that thing restarted. Here we go.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, and already Edvin Karlsson gets that thing stopped right away. Perin on the far side has good flow. He is not really using his body to his advantage, though. He's got a fairly upright stance, but he's looking very good. A quick stop by him, and he gets through in 14.98. That's a personal best. Meanwhile, Edvin Karlsson struggling a bit there as that saw was tagging the floor each time on the downstroke, and that caused him a lot of problems, and his time of 19.61 is 4.63 seconds off pace, but it's a personal best for both of them now. There is discussion on stand B because of a complete cut. Now let's watch this again. Right there, a quick stick by Edvin Karlsson as he's got to get that thing restarted and get the flow going. Sticks again. The angle was just a bit too steep, and then finally he gets into the flow. In the background you can see, though, that Michael Perin had already gotten almost all the way down, and there, a quick stop by him, and you can see he twists the block off. Closer view here as we look at Michael Perin, and we get that quick stop, and then here he twists it off, but he did get a final cut. The question is whether or not the judges will deem that as fair. Now, I haven't seen anything or heard anything that says otherwise, so it should be good, and there you go. Michael Perin with a time of 17.94. Edvin Karlsson with a time of 19.39. And that sets Edvin Karlsson down in 9th place, and Michael Perin currently takes over top of the overall standings with our next heat ready to come out. All right, next up, Niels Rulli, who was leading the competition up until the first heat here, has a chance to get back into the top. He's got 2 personal bests so far on the day. Can he get a 3rd personal best and continue on that upward swing? We'll find out as he is going up against Sebastian Bateau. Currently, the world record for single buck is held by Jason Wynyard from New Zealand. He managed to cut through his block at the time in 9.39 seconds, and that was done back in 2007, and nobody's broken it yet. So that is an incredibly fast time. It's going to be tough for anybody to get there. And you need to have absolutely the perfect set of circumstances and conditions. Here we go with Niels Rulli on stand A and Sebastian Bateau on stand B.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, that was a very quick start by Niels Rulli as he gets that saw going, but does get a quick stop, and you can see the saw bend. And on the far side, Sebastian Bateau's got some nice flow. Oh, but he gets it stuck as well. And again, getting that saw stopped and stuck, having to restart, it just causes all sorts of problems. And right now, it was a really fast start for Niels Rölli. Sebastian Bateau with a good time of 26.06. But I do believe that we are going to have a review on stand A, as they're going to want to check something out here, because Niels Rölli's start time was very, very quick. There is our yellow flag on stand A. And the dramatic music plays as our judges will go over to the screen. Now this is where we were talking about those milliseconds earlier on, as I was mentioning to Marcus, and this is why we have competition control, so we can see absolutely if everything was fair. Now you could see that was a very fast start by Niels Rölli. Sebastian Bateau wasn't even moving, and Niels was already through 2 strokes. So that is what they're checking out right now. All right, updated information from competition control. On my screen here, we do have a DQ for Niels Rölli, so that is going to be a big problem for his overall standings, and that means it widens the field way open for the rest of the guys. Let's look here. So, Perrin holding on to that top spot for the moment. Sebastian Bateau in 12th place in the overall. Sorry, we're looking at the single buck standings as we take a look at the overall standings now. Sebastian Bateau sitting in 12th place overall. And Niels Rölli, even with the DQ, still has 18 points. So he's in 2nd place, but Michael Perrin has moved into the top spot, winning the 12 points thus far after 2 heats in single buck. Now, moving on to heat number 3 in single buck, we have Oliver Reinhardt going up against Robin Haas. Two Swiss gentlemen will be battling against each other. And remember, as Marcus mentioned off the top of the show, the top 8 athletes from this Six Nations Rookie Cup will qualify for the 2021 Rookie World Championship. Now you can see there, Bart Janssen has a special measuring guide to be able to check how deep those first set cuts of the saw are allowed to go in, so that it's fair on both sides. Jörg Krutzenberger had the same on his side, have checked both saws and positions, and interesting that these two Swiss gentlemen are going to go head-to-head with each other. Literally facing each other, and this is the first time that we'll have seen these two guys or any athlete facing each other in the competition.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Robin Haas. Little bit of a delay by Oliver Reinhardt as he took some time getting that saw started, but he's got good flow. And it looks like he's playing catch-up now with Robin Haas. Oh, boy! Look at that. 13 seconds and 14.43 seconds. Oliver Reinhardt with a great time, a personal best, takes first overall and first in the single buck. Second place goes to Robin Haas with a 14.43. So those are 2 good times and set them both up for some changes in the overall standings. Can't wait to look back at these slow-mos here. Little bit of a sticky start by Oliver Reinhardt. Robin Haas on the other side had a good start, but Oliver Reinhardt just got into a really nice flow using a lot of that saw. Now, the best in the world, you'll see that saw tip disappear into the space between the block he's cutting and the main block. And right there, that could have been dangerous. The little twist of the saw, breaking it off, could have left a piece still attached to the main block, which would have meant a DQ had he not cut that off. But he got lucky this time around. So Oliver Reinhardt
with a personal best time of 13.23 and the fastest time in single buck so far. And that means in the overall standings, Oliver Reinhardt and Robin Haas both move into 1 and 2, actually tied for 1, both with 28 points. But because Oliver Reinhardt has the fastest overall time, he is in first place. Michael Perrin sitting in third. And our next pairing will be coming out. Lukas Wagesreiter from Austria will be going up against another Austrian, Peter Rich. And now coming out onto stage, Peter Rich. And if you notice his shoes, both Lucas and Peter are wearing spiked shoes. Similar to track shoes. They could very well be track shoes for that matter. And they opt for spiked shoes in order to give them better traction on the floor here. Now these are the first two guys where we've actually seen wear spiked shoes, or at least in my recollection, I didn't really pay attention up to this point because I heard them clicking and clacking as they came on to the floor, a bit like a set of high heels across linoleum as they came out onto the stage. Now there you see Lukas Wagesreiter with his saw upside down briefly, just giving him an opportunity to practice his stroke. So a couple of Austrians will be battling against each other here. And the great view of that 2-meter long crosscut saw known as the single buck. Final adjustments for Peter Rich on stand B as he sets his position. And here you can see the difference in stance between these two gentlemen. Lukas Wagesreiter with a really wide stance. Peter Rich, not so much, but Peter Rich is the taller of the two athletes. Wagesreiter right into good flow immediately. Peter Rich looking also pretty good. Wagesreiter, he has gotten himself a little bit stuck. Peter Rich as well. This is going to come down to a very close finish, but it's going to be Peter Rich. Oh my goodness, that was so close. Wagesreiter 16.59. Peter Rich with a 16.82. Hundredths of a second's difference there. My goodness. Both of them getting stuck at opposite times there as they came through, and both of them getting very, very close heat times. Oh, my goodness. So Lukas Wagesreiter with a 16.34 and Peter Rich with a 16.59 adjusted are currently sitting in third and fourth place in single buck. As we look at the slow-mo here, quick stick right there by Wagesreiter. And a couple of sticks there really caused some problems for Wagesreiter, who was looking really, really good right off the hop. So third and fourth place for the two Austrians in the single buck. And we'll take a look how the overall standings look after that. Ooh, nicely done. Third and fourth place also in the overall standings. All right, so that means that there is some shucking and jiving going on in the overall standings. As you can see, things start to move around a bit as the points and the disqualifications happen as they do happen in Timber Sports. Our next pairing will be coming out onto the stage shortly, and we'll see Marcel Steinkemper joining us on stage, our one and only German in the competition. And he will be going up against the Frenchman, my favorite man, Maxime Larage. I'll have his name correctly pronounced by the time I'm about 60 at this rate. So Marcel and Maxime. Germany versus France. Marcel's best time 14:20. Maxime, his best time 13:65. So
A slight advantage goes to the Frenchman at this point. And there we see that tool that Jörg Kürzenberger used to make sure the saw is sitting fairly in the correct depth. Bart Janssen will have checked the stand A already to make sure that the saw sits at the correct depth there as well. And again, everything is done to make this as fair as possible for these athletes. And then it just leaves it up to the athletes' skill and their determination to win and their desire. Here we go.
Athletes, ready?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Steinkemper with a quick start there, gets into it nicely. Maxime on the other side has good flow. Steinkemper gets his saw caught a couple of times. And then it looks like it's going to be Maxime getting through there faster. Yes, he does. 16.19. And Steinkemper, oh, big problem from him as he has a piece of that disc left and he's got to get back in there and cut it the rest of the way off. That is allowed to make sure the cookie is complete. The judges will check that for absolutely complete cookie, but that is a disappointing situation for Marcel Steinkemper there because it means it took extra time for him to get that last little piece off. Now, it was a very fast start by Marcel Steinkemper. Maxime Larage kept the flow going pretty well. A stick right there causing problems. And you could see another one as that saw bowed in a bit too much. And then as he got to the bottom, a little twist of the saw broke off a piece. And meanwhile, the Frenchman threw nice and clean, looking for this twist at the bottom. Pay attention to his hands now as he gets a little twist all right there. And that just pushed the block out, broke it off the piece. Of course, he needed to go back in and cut it clean. So Steinkemper with a 23.49, Maxime with a 16.03, and he is in good stand right now in third place, and he sits in third place also in the overall standings. So things are shifting around once again. So next heat coming up, Frenchman Loïc Voisin coming onto the stage. And you can see those are some funky looking shoes, but he's what actually done is wearing a pair of flip-flops or sandals to protect the spikes of his shoes as he comes out on the stage. Emil Hansson opting to go spike-free. The Swedes are known for having very, very strong single buck athletes. So let's see if Emil Hansson can live up to that reputation. And as I did say earlier on, France has been absolutely putting top talent out into the world of steel timber sports for the last few years. So there's no messing around. Both of these guys looking for a nice wide stance in their feet. Loïc Voisin completely focused on that saw as the final preparation is getting done by Emil Hansson. Head games a little bit here maybe? I don't know. But Loïc Voisin looks like he wants that log badly.
Ready? Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good start by both of them, and both of them get stuck. Emil Hansson getting stuck twice now as Loïc Voisin so getting into the flow, and now so has Oh my goodness, Emil Hansson with a push from behind and a 12.47. That is the fastest time in single buck so far. And Loïc Voisin with a 16.36. Now both of these guys did get a catch in their saws, and that caused problems and slowed them down a little bit. But you could see once Emil Hansson got the flow going, there was no stopping him. Taking a look here again. There, a quick catch by Loic Voisin, and then finally gets it moving again. And around that time on the other side, we saw a similar thing happen to Emil Hansen, but then Emil Hansen just with a huge wide stance, throwing everything off of that back foot on the forward stroke, gets it through in a 12.25 adjusted time. Loic Voisin, 6th place in single buck with a 16.20. So Emil Hansen moves to the top of the single buck ranking, takes those 12 points, and he'll enjoy sitting in 4th place in the overall standings. Oliver Reinhard, Robin Haas atop the standings in 1st and 2nd, both with 27 points. Maxime Larage with 25 points in 3rd place, and Emil Hansen, nice for him to be in 4th place as we head down to Marcus in the studio.
DQ by the leader of the pack, which was absolutely dramatic. Troy, you were talking about long strokes, or as you call it, frantic short strokes. What do you think was the better strategy today?
Well, I mean, both of them are good strategies, Marcus. It just depends on how well you use those strokes. And I mean, my opinion is a wide stance and long strokes using all of the saw in order to get through the cuts. You know, like they say, slow is steady, steady is fast.
Yeah, but you're a big man. For me, it would be the frantic fast.
I think I would be in panic modus trying to do the frantic short strokes as well. But we've seen success in both, you know. For instance, with Jason Wynyard, he's such a tall man. He has those long strokes, and he's just absolutely knows that saw perfectly, doesn't make any deep angle changes or anything like that, and uses that to his advantage. Other guys, they can just use the middle of that saw, but they're going so fast, it's like having a motor saw that they're cutting with. So,
well, let's take a look at the top two in the split screen.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So Emil Hansen there, you could see he gets a couple of short strokes and then gets into those long strokes. Oliver Reinhard on the right-hand side, he's using a little bit of those more frantic, shorter strokes, middle of the saw. But Emil Hansen, he did get a couple of shorter strokes in there, but he was just so solid on those long strokes that it was to his advantage. And because he's a little bit taller, it was also helpful for him to have a wide stance.
Well, there's only one more discipline coming up, and that's the underhand chop. So let's take a closer look at that.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
So let's take a look at the start list. We're going to start off with Heat 1, Italy taking on Switzerland. It's Michael Perrin taking on Nils Rölli, followed by Heat 2, Edwin Carlsen from Sweden against the German Marcel Steinkemper. In Heat 3, we'll see the two Frenchmen, Sébastien Bateau against Maxime Layarige. In Heat number 4, Lukas Wagesreiter from Austria taking on his Swiss colleague Robin Haas. In Heat 5, Peter Ritsch from Austria against the Frenchman Loic Voisin. And last but not least, in Heat number 6, Oliver Reinhard from Switzerland against the Swede Emil Hansen. So it's going to be really, really exciting. Only one more discipline deciding over the winner of this year's Rookie Cup here in Munich in Studio 6. Troy, are we ready for this?
Oh, we are so ready, absolutely. And Nils Rölli, with his DQ from the single buck, needs to really be on point here if he wants to get up there in this first heat. Now, he's going to be going up against Michael Perrin from Italy. And again, it's the underhand chop. This one can be tricky because you need to have a really well-placed axe, and let's see if either of these two gentlemen can do it. Nils Rölli, disappointed after his DQ from earlier, will have refocused and reset himself to come out here and battle away. He's also 19 years old, so I mentioned earlier on that I believe it was Emil Hansen was the youngest competitor in the competition, but that is not actually fair to say because there's two 19-year-olds in the mix.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so here the key is to get a nice set of starting hits, slab out that block as much as possible, move away as much material as you can, and you can see in front of my position, Michael Perrin, really fast axe, moving that head quickly and getting into that first side of his block, now moving over to the other side. Niels Rolli still working on his first side, now finally moves over to the other side, and it's all about balance and accuracy with that axe on top, plus you've got to have the power. And it looks like Michael Perrin might do well to better his best time. Oh, there we go, 37:29. He bettered his best time by a bullet. Niels Rolli still battling, just passing the 46-second mark here, and finally gets through in 49:15. So that puts him back into first place in the overall. There you see with the orange field with the white writing, but that is a great time by Michael Perrin. 37:29, and again, we've seen how the faster axe head plays a role, but now if I look down from my position, there's a little bit of discussion going on there from our judges as they check the block to make sure that they've had a fair and clean cut. And in the slow-mo here, you can see some nice big slabs coming out of the block from Michael Perrin. Moving that axe head quickly, and we've seen in the past from both the New Zealand and Australian guys in the underhand chop that a quick axe can make a big difference. All right, looks like we've got fair cuts all around here. So Michael Perrin with a personal best of 36:49, and Niels Rolli with a personal best of 48:89. Now you have to look at it like this. Michael Perrin's previous personal best was 1 minute 23 seconds 81 hundredths. That is a massive improvement for him, and you can see there in the overall standings, Rolli and Perrin with those 11 and 12 points respectively move into the top two positions in the overall. How long that will last, we'll see. And again, out of curiosity, the underhand chop world record 12.39 seconds held by Braden Meyer of Australia. He got that record in 2015, and everybody was absolutely astounded at the time how quickly the young Australian managed to move that axe from above his head to the block faster than anybody else at the time. And since then, that style of cutting with an axe has been adopted by a lot of different people to try and get through those blocks as quickly as possible. So you could say he's a bit of an engineer and a trendsetter. All right, next two athletes coming out on deck. First up from Sweden, Edvin Karlsson. Just 20 years old. Underhand chop. 49.26 was the personal best for the rookie. He got that at the Nordic Rookie Cup in Dölmo in 2019. And out there with him is Marcel Steinkemper. Personal best for him, 43.46. Let's see what kind of improvements either of these two gentlemen have made in their underhand chop.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Edvin Karlsson getting in with quick head strokes there. Marcel Steinkemper doing his best to do the same with a lot of power coming from his side. High swings, good position on the hands. Edvin Karlsson right in front of our position right here. Gets his axe stuck a couple of times. Steinkemper has moved over to the other side already. And he is just going for it, giving everything he's got. And Carlsen finally moving over to the other side of his block. Definite advantage here for Steinkemper, but Carlsen slapping out some nice ones. Oh, and a great time, 32.82. Another personal best has gone to the wind here. Marcel Steinkemper with a personal best, 32.82. Edvin Carlsen, 45 seconds now passed, and it looks like that block is finally loosening up. One or two more hits should do it for him. There we go. It is done at 52.24 for Edvin Carlsen. So Marcel Steinkemper with the fastest time of the day so far, and another personal best with 32.67 as we take a look at the block of Edvin Carlsen. A couple of times that axe got stuck in there, and of course, as it is with every part of these disciplines, when you get stuck, you have to restart, and then just getting redone. Excuse me, we were on the block of Marcel Steinkemper. Edvin Carlsen had the white shoes on the far side there. You could see just every ounce of their energy going into that axe as they choke up, and big stick there by Edvin as he moves around to the other side to start working the backside of his block. Great camera angle right there, by the way, from that fixed overhead camera. And the final couple of blows for Marcel Steinkemper here as he steps off that block in a time of 32.67. Another personal best falls here at the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020. And that tells you everything you need to know about the skill level and determination from these gentlemen. And they're improving with every event they head out to. The overall standings, a little bit more shifting around. Niels Rolli still holding on to the top spot there. Steinkemper moving up into 5th place with 25 points in total. And Edvin Carlsen, unfortunately, he only has 16 points overall, sitting down in 11th at the moment. And that doesn't mean we're going to see him anywhere near the top here, with this being the last discipline of the day. So Niels Rolli will be on pins and needles as he watches the remaining heats come out. A couple of Frenchmen going to be battling this time around. Sébastien Bateau right in front of our position here. Hopefully he won't be slabbing out any blocks in my direction. And then Maxime Layarige, finally. Maybe I was just putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable with his name. I don't know, nevertheless. Personal best for Layarige, 36.50 for Bateau, 39. All right. Let's see how these two Frenchmen do in the underhand chop.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
This is synchronized chopping here right now as we start off with the first few hits, and now they get into their own flow and their own rhythm. Right in front of me here, Bateau looking good as he gets through the backside of this block nice and quickly. He should switch over to the other side fairly quickly now. And a bit of a tentative move for Layarige as he moves over to the front side of his block. Bateau now finally moves over. Layarige opting for the power strokes here from way on high as we see his position. Bateau slabbing out nicely. Could be a close battle between these two guys. They've gone well past the time to beat of 32.67 now and are into the 40s. Couple of axe sticks for both of them here. Boy, it's going to be close. Who is going to get through here first? It's going to be Sébastien Bateau with a time of 52.17 and Layarige with a 55.08. Couple of Frenchmen very close to each other as Layarige takes a quick look at that block and just wonders why it took so long to get through. They weren't even close to their personal bests there. Yeah, both of them disappointed with the results there as we see the slow-mos. Started off nicely. A little bit of a hop there for Sébastien Bateau, but he slabbed out a couple of nice pieces. On the far side, you could see some big chunks coming out of the block from Layarige. And then it took a long time for Sebastian Bateau to get around to the other side. A couple of more hits for Lajarige on the other side. He was very tentative about his switch around. You could see there, it took him a long time to reposition himself and get those first couple of hits. And you actually have to be really careful when you do make that turnaround to have your feet on those flat sections so that you're not risking getting your foot or your ankle hit with the axe. They do wear chainmail leggings, but nevertheless, when that axe hits with that much impact, you can really, really injure yourself. And there you see Sebastian Bateau finally getting through, and we should see that one from, Sebastian Bateau. Lajarige on the other side. You can see there, underhand chop in 5th and 6th place with times above the 51-second mark. So not going to be much of an impact on the overall standings there. However, the time is enough for 7 points for Lajarige to take over the top position from Niels Rolli. So it's 32-28 right now. Interesting what's happening in the overall. And it was just that DQ from Niels Rolli that really made a problem. And we do have what is called the hot seat. That gives us an opportunity to see who is leading towards the last 3 heats here. Now, we do have 3 more heats. And I don't know if we're going to get a picture of our hot seat. There it is on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We can see right now it is Maxime Lajarige with a total time of 2:00.24 in the competition. He is currently in the hot seat, or we'll call it the hot spot because he's not able to sit down. So we do have 3 more heats to go, and we'll see how much change goes on in the overall standings after these 3 heats. Coming out for heat number 4 from Austria, Lukas Wageschreiter. And joining him from Switzerland, Robin Haas. There you can see the details of both gentlemen. I would say we're looking at a fairly evenly matched heat as far as their specifics are concerned, as far as their
Athletes, ready.
Stand
actual time
to your
or personal
timber.
best. I think that
3, 2,
Robin Haas
1,
has
go.
a distinct advantage here. So both of them underway on their underhand chop here. Wageschreiter, some big power hits. Moving over to the other side for Robin Haas. Wageschreiter, both of them still working on their first side. Now we have Wageschreiter moving over to his other side. Robin Haas joins him as they cut through the backside of their block. Wageschreiter with power hits from on high, taking huge swings, and that could be an advantage for him as he starts to get through the backside here. Robin Haas on the far side, a quick stick by him, but he gets it out quickly. And I see a wiggly log there. Oh, there we go. Robin Haas gets down in 43.86. Wageschreiter, who I thought was going to get through faster, is down in 46.22. So, as we talk about, anything can happen, and it was a quick push from behind by Robin Haas with an adjusted time of 43.57. Lukas Wageschreiter with a 45.96. Currently sitting in 3rd and 4th in the underhand chop. As we take a look at some of the slow-mos here. So Lukas Wageschreiter and Robin Haas with a nice heat between each other, sitting in 3rd and 4th with times respectively. So 43.57 for Robin Haas and 45.96 for Lukas Wageschreiter. They're sitting in 3rd and 4th place in the underhand chop positions. There you see Steinkemper, Perrin 1 and 2, Haas, Wageschreiter 3 and 4. And that's made a change in our overall standings now. Robin Haas moves into the top spot with Lukas Wageschreiter right behind him. So at the moment, Robin Haas is in the lead of the overall standings. 2 more heats to go, however. Heat number 5 coming up next with Peter Rich from Austria and Loïc Voisin from France. So at the moment, the time to beat in underhand chop is held by Marcel Steinkemper, 32.67. Peter Rich is sitting in 10th place. Loïc Voisin, who is just coming out onto the stage now, is sitting in 9th place. Neither of them can really jump into the top spot, winning the underhand chop here, so neither of them really are playing a role. Robin Haas with the 37 points at the moment. If Loïc Voisin can get the 12 points, he would have 35.
3, 2, 1, go!
So Peter Rich, Loïc Voisin getting to work on the underhand chop here. Voisin with some big hits, but also with some big sticks there as he moves over to the other side. And then Peter Rich joins him. Peter Rich right down in front of my position here, making me nervous with that axe. Throwing some big hits as well. Power from both of these gentlemen, swinging from on high. Loïc Voisin, 27.73. Great time for him in the underhand chop. He'll take over the lead in the discipline. Peter Rich has done it in 37.83, and that puts him in 4th place in the discipline of underhand chop. So Loïc Voisin with a very, very respectable time of 27.73 leads in the underhand chop. He just pushed the whole crew down a notch, so Marcel Steinkemper moves into 2nd place in underhand chop behind Loïc Voisin. In the slow-mos, you can see here, Loïc Voisin with that final blow, just exploding chips out the back of the block there, pleased with that final cut and a good time. Now, this does change things in the overall standings. Let's look at the underhand chop first. Now, Steinkemper, who was up there with the top spot in the underhand chop. Few points are lost, few points are gained. Loïc Voisin gets those 12 points, moves everybody down. So it is Robin Haas now moving down into 2nd place with Loïc Voisin in the top of the ranking in the overall standings, and still heat number 6 to go in the underhand chop. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this last heat to see if Loïc Voisin will in fact stay at the top, or if there will be some changes. Oliver Reinhard from Switzerland coming out first. He'll be on stand A right in front of my position here. And joining him on stage will be Sweden's Emil Hansson. Emil Hansson's been looking good in the latter half of this competition. He had a great single buck. Let's see if he can put together a really solid underhand chop. Personal best, both just over 22 seconds for these gentlemen. If they can get those personal bests or better, we may see some serious changes.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Synchronized swinging again, but now the guy's getting into the rhythm. Ooh, a big stick by Emil Hansson as he moves quickly over to the other side. We saw him do that earlier on as well with the standing block, and that seems to work to his advantage. Oh my goodness, a great time. Another personal best falls. Emil Hansson with a 20-23. Reinhard right here, almost through it there. He finally gets done in a 28.51. So Emil Hansen with the underhand chop first place gets the 12 points. And Oliver Reinhard with third place in this discipline will get 10 points. We'll give you the slow-mos. We'll give you the results from the underhand chop, and then we'll show you what has happened in the overall standings. So looking back at the slow-mos here, big power hits for Emil Hansen to get some big slabs out of that first side here, moving that axe head quickly. Really, really accurate hits, and after one more hit here, he moves to the other side. There you can see him on the far side of the screen, and Oliver Reinhard right there. And steps down. Got to be careful that you are getting back up before you maneuver that axe for another hit. And Emil Hansen was quickly over to the other side with a great time of 20.06. So he actually wins the results of the underhand chop. And Oliver Reinhard gets 10 points in that heat, moves into third place in the underhand chop, but because of his points, he has 37 in the overall, just 1 point ahead of Emil Hansen. That means Oliver Reinhard is your winner here for the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020, with a steady flow of good action from him right to the very end. Oliver Reinhard manages to pull it off with a combined time on the day of 1:15.67. The next closest time is 1:19.40, but Emil Hansen sitting in second place in the overall, and right now Oliver is down there with Marcus for our winner interview.
Oliver, wie knapp war das schlussendlich?
Für mich, ich fand es sehr knapp, vor allem der Underhand. Ich dachte dort,
yeah, so he says it was really close for the underhand.
Machte 2-3 Fehlschläge.
A couple of mistake hits.
Aber in diesem Fall nicht.
Ich habe dich ganz genau beobachtet, man hat von diesem Druck überhaupt nichts gespürt. Du hast ganz, ganz cool gewirkt.
So
war das nur an der Oberfläche oder hat es innen drinnen gefehlt?
Was no pressure at all. Yeah, there was definitely
Das
pressure.
Schweizer Team extrem stark, hat sich ganz toll präsentiert.
Swiss
ich glaube,
team extremely strong.
Ja, sicher, wir haben einen guten Team Spirit.
Yeah, we've got a good team spirit.
Wir verstehen uns alle ganz gut.
And we understand each other really well.
Eine ganz, ganz spezielle Situation. Wie hat es dir gefallen? Wie
Special
glücklich
situation
bist du jetzt?
here. How do you feel about
Ich
it?
bin riesenglücklich. Ich fand den Event toll. Ich fand
Yeah,
den
we're
Sport
super
toll.
happy
Alles
about
war
being
gut.
able to do it. The event was great.
Gratulation, jetzt wird es Zeit zu feiern.
Merci.
2-2-2.
Congratulations and good luck moving forward.
Danke dir.
So some on-the-fly translations there. I hope they were as correct as I could possibly get out there. But a great job by Oliver Reinhard with the third place in the underhand chop, manages to get the 10 points and comes through as the winner in the overall standings. And just behind him, Emil Hansen and then Loïc Voisin from France. So a really, really good mix of high-level athletics that we're seeing from the rookies. And I mean, all it says is that the STIHL Timbersports family is growing, and the STIHL Timbersports family is improving, and there is a lot of talent coming through the ropes. Now, we are going to take a look here at Emil Hansen going up against Loïc Voisin. So here we see a great start. 2 big hits on each side by Emil Hansen, and then he just gets that axe moving quickly. Loïc Voisin aiming for some big hits. He moves over to the other side, and Emil Hansen was quick onto the other side. Loïc Voisin, on the other hand, was a little bit slower coming to the other side, and you can see the difference here. Emil Hansen didn't go as deep on the first side, but he manages to get a quick time. Loïc Voisin, in the comparison here, really had to work a little bit more to finally break through that block. And then you could see the difference in the comparison between the two styles, quick axe head and a power axe head. So great job by Emil Hansen, and he will take the second place in the overall. Loïc Voisin third in the overall, with Oliver Reinhard, who you just heard from earlier with Marcus, is our winner here at the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020. So So there once more are overall standings. Oliver Reinhard, and you could see the different points that were received throughout the different disciplines. 6 points in the stock saw was the lowest amount of points that Oliver did get. Emil Hansen, unfortunately, was a DQ, didn't get any points in stock saw. Otherwise, he basically had perfect wins throughout each of the standing block, the single buck and the underhand chop, and perhaps had he had some points there in the stock saw, we would have seen a different result, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, literally in this case. And Loic Voisin, a bit of a weak start, but strong in the standing block chop. Single buck wasn't his strongest discipline, but again, strong in the underhand chop. And there you see our top 3 guys, 37, 36, and 34 points respectively. And now we're going to head back down to the studio with Marcus.
Well, thank you, Troy. How amazing was this competition? Can you believe it? With Emil Hansen having the DQ in the beginning, right at the first discipline, and then moving his way all the way up, just with missing the gold medal by 1 point. And of course, now it's time to start the winners' ceremony. It's a big pleasure to regard Battle Sebastian on position 12, Edwin Carlsen taking 11th place. In 10, it's Niels Rölli. He had a DQ and 3 personal bests, so great competition from this man as well. Marcel Steinkemper, in the last competition, he was really showing us what he was made of, so this man is a look forward to in the future as well. Michael Perrin from Italy in 8. Maxime Layarige, your favorite name, in 7. On position 6, Lukas Wagesreiter. 5, the other Austrian, Peter Ritsch. In 4, Robin Haas. And number 3, ladies and gentlemen, is about to enter the stage. It is time for the bronze medal. Take a closer look into Studio 6. And here is Loic Voisin, ladies and gentlemen. 34 points and a time of 1:19.40. Claiming the bronze medal here at this fantastic competition, the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020. Here he is receiving his medal. Of course, everything done under COVID-19 restrictions. Fantastic competition for this young man. As we proceed to the silver medal, here comes from Sweden, Emil Hansen, 36 points. And let's not forget, he had a DQ in the stock saw right in the first competition, and then winning the block chop, the single buck, and the underhand chop. So this definitely is one of the rookies we're going to see in the pros competition very, very soon. Here comes the silver medal. Well done, Emil. Awesome competitor. Claiming silver for Sweden as we await the champion of the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, watching this live stream all over the world, put your hands together for Oliver Reinhard from Switzerland, winning this competition with an overall of 37 points and a total time of 1:15.67. The champion of the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020, Oliver Reinhard. Oh, and look at him smile. Here's the national anthem of Switzerland. What a beautiful moment for these three men. Loic Vincent for France claiming bronze, Emil Hansen taking silver for Sweden, and of course Oliver Reinhardt, the champion of the Six Nations Rookie Cup 2020, and the national anthem brought tears to the eyes of this young man. Beautiful stuff. What an exciting competition. And let's not forget, in exactly 2 hours, we're going to have the Four Nations competition, the Four Nations Cup for the pros. And I'm very sure you're not going to miss out on that one. We're going live at exactly Central European time, 7 p.m. Make sure not to miss it. And of course, for now, it's time to say goodbye with the best pictures of the day. Enjoy, and hopefully see you soon at 7 p.m. for the big boys. And winning this competition